Have you ever thought about how much our alphabet shapes us? Well, imagine a brand new country where less than 1 in 10 people can read or write, a nation held back, in a way, by the very letters it used. A script that was beautiful and historic, sure, but just didn't match the sounds of the language, making it take years to master. That was the reality for the young Turkish Republic. And today, we're diving into the incredible story of its alphabet reform. And trust me, this is about way more than just changing a few letters. It's about a nation deciding right then and there to rewrite its own future.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we're going to look at why a new script was seen as so essential for this new republic. Then we'll be right there for the very first lesson, the moment it was all revealed to the public. After that, we'll see how the entire country literally became a classroom. And finally, we'll explore the huge lasting impact of what some people started calling a Turkish Renaissance. And hey, as we get going, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, turn on that notification bell, and share and like my videos. All the information you're about to hear has been compiled from open sources. Thank you so much.
All right, let's set the stage. Every new nation needs to build its identity, right? And for the Turkish Republic, rising from the ashes of an empire, one of the most powerful tools for that was going to be the very script its people used to write and think.
Now, this wasn't just some minor update. We're talking about a fundamental shift. The country's leader, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, was convinced that for the new republic to truly move forward, the entire nation had to be able to read. His stance was incredibly clear and urgent. He said, "This nation must read, but immediately." And that feeling, that sense of absolute urgency, is what lit the fire for one of the most radical language reforms in modern history.
So, why such a drastic change? Well, there were a few really big reasons. The old script, which was based on Arabic, just wasn't a good phonetic match for the Turkish language. It made learning to read and write incredibly difficult. So switching to a Latin-based alphabet wasn't just about making it easier, it was a major strategic move. It was about plugging the new republic into Western systems, completely overhauling education, and, maybe most importantly, making knowledge, through newspapers and books, accessible to everybody.
So you've got this massive, game-changing plan. How in the world do you introduce it to the people? Well, you don't do it with a boring political speech. You do it with a lesson. I want you to just picture the scene for a second. It's Istanbul, 1928. The city's buzzing with the energy of a new republic. You can just feel it in the air, the sense that something big is about to happen. And right there, in one of its most famous parks, history is about to be written. Literally.
On this summer evening, the leader of the nation doesn't step up to a podium. No, he walks up to a blackboard with a piece of chalk in his hand and he becomes a teacher. Right there in front of everyone, he introduces the new letters for the first time, saying, "We are adopting the new Turkish letters to express our beautiful language." This was it, the first public spark of a revolution.
And what's just incredible is the speed of it all. I mean, think about this. It went from that first public lesson in the park to an official law passed by the government in less than 3 months. The momentum was just unstoppable.
So, the law is on the books. But how do you actually make it happen? Passing a law is one thing, but teaching an entire country a whole new way to read and write, that is a whole different ballgame.
And this is where the story gets even more amazing. Ataturk didn't just sign a piece of paper and walk away. He personally led the charge. He traveled all over the country, from city to city, town to town, with a blackboard and chalk, teaching citizens himself. This photo right here from Kayseri just captures that spirit perfectly. You're looking at the President of the Republic acting as the nation's head teacher.
And the whole world was watching. This wasn't just some internal affair. The international press, like the hugely influential French magazine Illiteracy, put this very photo on their cover. They knew exactly what they were seeing, a powerful, undeniable symbol of a nation transforming itself at lightning speed.
You see, the impact of this reform went so much deeper than just literacy rates. People started to see it as the spark for a total cultural and intellectual awakening. Foreign journalists were so blown away, they had to come up with a powerful name for what they were seeing. Italian newspapers started calling it the Turkish Renaissance. They understood that this wasn't just about changing letters on a page. They were watching a nation take a giant leap into modernity, science, and a new way of seeing the world. And Ataturk himself really summed up the whole vision behind it with these words. For him, the new alphabet was the key that would finally unlock the door to progress, allowing the Turkish people to take their place in modern global civilization. And this legacy isn't just something you read about in history books. Ever since 1929, the first week of November is set aside to celebrate the alphabet reform. It's a living, breathing reminder of how much value is placed on literacy and knowledge as the bedrock of the entire nation.
Now, sometimes you hear this myth that the reform made an entire nation illiterate overnight, but the numbers just don't back that up. Let's be real, with the literacy rate already below 10%, almost 90% of the people couldn't read the old script to begin with. So the real revolution wasn't about a small minority forgetting a script, it was about millions gaining access to a new one within a few short years. It was a revolution in thinking that threw the doors to knowledge wide open. And that leaves us with one final big question to think about.